When a man truly wants you, he doesn't just say it, he shows it. But here's the secret most women miss. He also says it in ways that sound casual, but carry deep meaning. These aren't random words, they're emotional signals. If you know how to listen, you'll never have to guess his intentions again. Today, I'm going to break down 6 phrases men use when they really want you. And trust me, once you hear them, you'll never unhear them again. You ever notice how a simple question like, "Did you get home safe?" can hit differently when it's coming from the right man? He's not just checking if you made it back to your door, he's saying something far deeper. That one question tells you he was thinking about you long after you said goodbye. He might not say, "I care about you," or "I worry when you're not around," but that's exactly what he means. It's quiet, it's subtle, and that's what makes it powerful. When a man truly wants you, his instincts shift. He starts to look out for you in ways he doesn't even recognize. It's not about control or checking up on you. It's about care. He's not just curious if you made it home, he's picturing it. He's imagining you walking through your door, dropping your keys on the counter, maybe exhaling after a long day. That thought gives him peace. And that's something men don't just offer to anyone. This question, "Did you get home safe?" isn't about logistics. It's emotional. It's his way of staying connected when you're apart. He's showing you that your safety, your peace of mind, and your well-being are on his radar. It's one of those small things that say everything. Because a man who doesn't care will never ask, but a man who's beginning to fall will. Now here's the thing, most women hear that and think it's polite. They'll respond, "Yeah, I did, thanks," and move on. But what he's doing right there is testing the waters. He's showing emotional vulnerability without saying too much. He's seeing how you respond. Do you brush it off? Do you match that energy with warmth? Do you recognize that he's trying to build a bridge, not just make small talk? Because to him, that question is the bridge. You see, men don't often lead with emotion. We lead with action. So when he asks if you got home safe, it's not about words. It's about demonstrating care through consistency. If he keeps checking in like that, if he remembers the little things, if he follows up when he didn't have to, that's your sign. That's not a man playing games. That's a man trying to make sure you feel safe in his presence, even when he's not physically there. And that's rare, because in a world where everyone's trying to prove they don't need anyone, someone who still chooses to care quietly stands out. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's sincere. It's the kind of energy that says, "I may not have all the words, but I'll show up for you anyway." And that's where real connection begins. There's also something deeper in the tone. When he asks that, listen to how he says it. You can tell when it's habit and when it's genuine. The genuine one carries warmth. It carries patience. It sounds like someone who's not trying to impress you. He's trying to reassure himself that you're okay. Because once a man starts caring about your safety, it means he's emotionally invested. He's no longer in that casual stage. He's in that protective space where your well-being affects his peace. And that protection doesn't always come with grand gestures. Sometimes it comes with texts like, "Text me when you get in," or "Let me know when you're home." Little reminders that he's thinking about you, even after the conversation ends. That's what real interest looks like. It's not about constant attention, it's about consistent intention. Because a man who's just interested in you for attention doesn't think beyond the moment. But a man who's genuinely drawn to you will think about everything that happens after. He'll picture you safe, smiling, resting. That's what love, or the beginning of it, looks like in its simplest form. So when you hear him ask, "Did you get home safe?" don't underestimate it. That's not small talk. That's his heart talking in the only language he knows, action disguised as words. And that, right there, is how you recognize the difference between a man who's curious about you and a man who truly cares. When a man says, "I was just thinking about you," it sounds so simple, doesn't it? But underneath that short sentence is something real, something revealing. Men don't often announce what's going on inside their heads. We're taught to stay guarded, to keep our emotions under control. So when those words slip out, it's not by accident. It's a confession wrapped in casualness. He's admitting that you crossed his mind in the middle of his day, maybe when he was driving, working, or doing absolutely nothing. And that thought made him feel something. It's not about the words themselves. It's about why he says them. That line, "I was just thinking about you," is his way of saying, you're not out of sight, and you're definitely not out of mind. That's emotional presence. That's a man opening a small window into his private world, just enough to let you know you're in it. See, men often struggle with expressing affection directly. We don't always say, "I miss you," because that can sound too vulnerable. But saying, "I was just thinking about you," feels safer. It's still honest, but it doesn't feel exposed. It gives him room to be genuine without risking rejection. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the unspoken message, "You matter to me more than I've said out loud." When a man says that, he's trying to build emotional proximity. He wants to keep the connection alive, even if you're not physically together. It's not about filling silence. It's about reminding you that you hold a place in his thoughts. That's how emotional attachment begins, not through grand gestures, but through consistent, small acknowledgments that say, "You're part of my mental space." Now here's what makes it even more meaningful. He didn't have to tell you that. He could have kept it to himself. But he chose to let you know. That choice means something. It means you're not just another conversation or a passing thought. You're someone who lingers. And when someone lingers in a man's mind, it's because something about you brings him peace, curiosity, or comfort. Maybe your energy felt grounding. Maybe your laugh stuck with him. Maybe something you said replayed in his head later, and it made him smile. Whatever it was, it drew him back to you, even in silence. This phrase also marks a turning point, because when a man starts thinking about you during moments that aren't romantic, when he's tired, when he's alone, when he's distracted, that's when emotional interest becomes emotional investment. It means his world is starting to make room for you without him forcing it. And he's subtly letting you know that's happening. But here's where you have to listen deeper. When he says, "I was just thinking about you," don't rush past it. Ask yourself what his tone says. Is it light and casual, or does it carry a softness, something unspoken but sincere? You can hear the difference, because when a man truly means it, his tone slows down a little. There's a calmness, almost like he's replaying the thought as he says it. That's when you know it's real. And the beauty of that phrase is in its timing. He might say it after a long day, or after a few hours of silence, or completely out of nowhere. That's when you know it's genuine, when it's unprompted. Because he wasn't saying it to get attention, he was saying it because he wanted you to feel seen. He wanted you to know that in a world full of distractions, you still crossed his mind. It's those little moments that build connection, the unforced check-ins, the random texts, the casual words that carry emotional weight. Because when a man says he's thinking about you, what he's really saying is, "You've become part of my peace." You've turned from a person he talks to into a presence that lives in his thoughts. And that's not something men give lightly. So when you hear those words, don't underestimate them. That's not a filler phrase. That's a quiet truth wrapped in simplicity. That's a man revealing more than he realizes. Because "I was just thinking about you" is never just about thinking, it's about feeling. When a man says, "You'd love this," it might sound like nothing special at first, just a few words in passing, but it's not random, it's revealing. That phrase is his way of weaving you into his world, even when you're not there. It's not about what he's doing in that moment. It's about who he's thinking of while he's doing it, and when you start showing up in his everyday thoughts like that, it means you've made a quiet place in his mind that he's not trying to erase. Think about it. He could be out with friends, watching a show, or just eating somewhere new, and suddenly he says, "You'd love this." That's not just observation, it's emotional inclusion. He's picturing you beside him. He's imagining your reaction, your smile, your opinion. That's not surface level attraction. That's someone starting to build emotional association. It means his experiences are beginning to feel incomplete without sharing them with you. Men don't usually let people into their inner world easily. We tend to stay guarded, stay focused, stay in control. But when a man starts attaching your presence to things he enjoys, that's when you know something's changing. That's when he's starting to see you as part of the picture, not just a passing interest. It's his subconscious saying, "You belong here," and it's subtle. That's the beauty of it. He's not making a big statement, he's making a connection. Because men often express emotion through association, not confession. We show you how we feel by what we include you in. When he says, "You'd love this view," or "You'd laugh so hard at this scene," what he's really saying is, "I wish you were here to share this moment with me." That's intimacy in its purest, most effortless form. This phrase also tells you something about where his mind is. It's not centered on himself anymore. It's expanded to include you. You've become part of how he processes the world. That's not just liking someone. That's emotional closeness forming in real time, and it's powerful because it's not forced. He's not saying it to impress you. He's saying it because it feels natural. That's when you know it's real. Here's what makes that moment even deeper, men. Don't include people they don't feel safe with. If he's imagining you in his world, it's because he's already decided that your energy feels right there, that you bring balance to his space, not disruption. So every time he says something like, "You'd love this," he's not just sharing an experience, he's testing comfort. He's seeing how naturally you'd fit into his rhythm. And when a man starts thinking in "we" instead of "me," that's when the shift happens. That's when emotional availability replaces emotional distance. You stop being an option and you start becoming part of his perspective. Even if he hasn't said the words, his actions are writing the story for him. Now, maybe you've heard that before and brushed it off as something small. But don't. Because people reveal their hearts in small ways long before they say anything big. A phrase like, "You'd love this," might not sound romantic, but it's layered with affection, curiosity, and care. It's him telling you that he notices what makes you light up, that he remembers what you enjoy, that he pays attention, and that's rare. Because anyone can compliment you, anyone can flirt, but it takes someone genuine to think of you when there's nothing to gain from it. That's when you know it's not performance, it's emotion. He's not just attracted to you, he's connected to you. So when a man says, "You'd love this," hear what he's really saying underneath. He's saying, "You belong in the places that make me happy." He's saying, "I see you as part of my joy." And when a man starts connecting his happiness to your presence, that's when you know you're not just in his thoughts. You're in his heart. When a man says, "Let me know when you're free," it might sound casual, but it carries more weight than most people realize. That line is about initiative. It's about intention. Because a man who truly wants you doesn't leave connection to chance. He makes room for it. Those words are his way of opening the door, giving you space to step through, and showing you that he's willing to meet you there. It's not pushy, it's not needy, it's patient. And that patience is a sign of respect, not hesitation. See, when a man is genuinely interested, he doesn't want to control your time. He wants to earn it. That's the difference between a man who's playing games and one who's showing interest with purpose. He's not saying, "You need to make time for me." He's saying, "Whenever you do, I'll be ready." That's consistency disguised as calmness. He's letting you know he values your availability without demanding it. There's also a layer of confidence in that phrase, because a man who's secure in what he feels doesn't chase attention. He creates opportunities. He knows that real connection doesn't need pressure to grow. So when he says, "Let me know when you're free," he's signaling that he's not here to rush you. He's here to align with you. It's his way of saying, "I'll make time for you when you can make time for me." That balance, that equality, is what separates a man of interest from a man of intention. And that's where most people get it wrong. They think interest has to be loud, full of constant messages, calls, and attention. But real interest doesn't always sound loud. Sometimes it sounds like quiet consistency. It sounds like someone who's not trying to fill your schedule, but trying to fit into it. That's subtle, but it's powerful, because a man who respects your boundaries is one who plans to stay. Now think about how he phrases it. "Let me know when you're free." He's not assuming. He's inviting. He's giving you the lead while still showing his willingness. That's emotional maturity. It's the kind of gesture that says, "I value your time, and I want to be part of it, but I'll wait for your yes." There's thoughtfulness in that. There's awareness. It's the kind of awareness that comes from a man who's not trying to take from you, but trying to build with you. When a man doesn't truly care, he'll try to make everything about convenience. He'll say things like, "You should come over," or "I'm around if you want to hang." But when a man says, "Let me know when you're free," he's shifting the focus to you. He's saying, "I'm not here to fit you into my schedule. I'm here to make space in mine for yours." That shift is where genuine interest lies. This is also how you can tell a man's priorities without him ever saying them. A man who wants something temporary will make effort sound like effort. But a man who wants something real will make effort look natural. He'll plan ahead. He'll follow up. He won't just say the words. He'll prove them through consistency. Because when a man truly wants you, his words and his actions will never feel like they're in two different conversations. And the beauty of that phrase is how simple it is. It's not romantic poetry, but it's real communication. It's an open hand instead of a closed fist. It's his way of saying, "I want to spend time with you, but I'll do it on your terms." That kind of presence builds trust without pressure. It creates space for something steady to grow. So when a man says, "Let me know when you're free," listen closely. That's not indifference. That's intention. That's him showing he's not afraid of the waiting, because what he's waiting for is worth it. And when a man makes room for you in his time without demanding your attention, that's when you know he's not just interested in your presence. He's invested in your peace. When a man says, "I don't want you to stress about it," he's not just trying to calm you down. He's showing you what kind of energy he brings into your life. That sentence, simple as it sounds, is layered with intention. It's not about dismissing your feelings. It's about protecting your peace. It's a man's way of saying, "You don't have to carry this alone. You can exhale now." And that's something a woman feels more than she hears. When a man genuinely wants you, his goal shifts from trying to impress you to trying to support you. That's the difference between someone who adds noise to your life and someone who brings balance. Because let's be honest, the world already gives you enough to stress about. Work, family, expectations, insecurities, life doesn't stop throwing things at you. So when a man enters your world and says, "I don't want you to stress about it," what he's really doing is offering relief. He's showing emotional steadiness. He's saying, "I see that you carry a lot, and I want to make sure I'm not another weight on your shoulders." That kind of presence speaks volumes. It's the kind that says, "I'm not here to add chaos. I'm here to be the calm." And that calm doesn't come from a man who's indifferent. It comes from a man who's grounded enough to understand that peace is the real attraction. You can tell by the tone, too. He doesn't say it to brush things off. He says it to create space for you to breathe. There's a softness in his voice when he says it, a certain level of care that makes you feel like you don't have to explain everything. Men who truly care pay attention to how your energy changes. They notice when you're overwhelmed, when something's weighing on you, when your silence means you're processing. And instead of trying to fix everything or make it about themselves, they simply offer reassurance. That's what that line is. It's reassurance disguised as comfort. It's his way of saying, I might not have all the answers, but I'm not going anywhere. And that's powerful because most people don't realize how healing it is to have someone who can stay calm when you're not. It's easy to find someone who's there when things are light and easy. But the real test is how someone shows up when things get heavy, when you're frustrated, when you're tired, when you're not your best self. The man who looks at you in those moments and says, I don't want you to stress about it, is choosing compassion over control. He's reminding you that love, real love, doesn't have to be dramatic to be strong. What makes that phrase even more meaningful is that it's followed by action. He doesn't just say it and walk away. He says it and then takes steps to make sure you actually can relax. Maybe he helps you think things through. Maybe he gives you space when you need quiet. Maybe he just listens. But he does something. Because when a man truly wants you, he doesn't want to see you carry unnecessary weight. He doesn't want to be part of the problem. He wants to help lighten it. And that's the kind of connection that builds emotional trust. Because when you start realizing that he's consistent in bringing peace instead of pressure, your guard starts to drop. You start to feel safe. Safe to open up. Safe to be honest. Safe to just be. That's the moment when care turns into comfort and comfort turns into love. So when a man looks at you and says, I don't want you to stress about it, don't take that lightly. That's not avoidance. That's intention. That's his heart speaking peace into your life when the world is already loud enough. Because a man who wants you doesn't just want your time or attention, he wants your mind to rest and your heart to feel safe. When a man looks at you and says, I got you, those 3 words can shift everything. They're simple, but they hold the weight of something real. That's not just reassurance. It's a promise. It's him saying, you don't have to do this alone. I'm here. I've got your back. And when a man says that and means that you can feel it, it's not about big gestures or dramatic moments. It's about quiet reliability, the kind that shows up when things aren't easy. There's something deeply comforting about hearing a man say, I got you, and actually believing it, because it means he's not just present in your good days, he's steady in your hard ones. It's not a phrase that's thrown around casually. It's something that comes from a place of care, of responsibility, of emotional strength. It's what separates someone who's temporary from someone who's trustworthy. When a man truly wants you, his instinct isn't just to be close. It's to protect, to provide, to make sure you're okay even when life isn't. And that doesn't always mean financial or physical protection. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's simply the peace of knowing he's dependable, that you can call him when you're overwhelmed, that you can count on him to show up when he says he will. I got you, is his way of saying, you can lean on me and I'll carry some of that weight with you. You see, most people can say they care, but not everyone can be counted on. Those are 2 very different things. Care is an emotion, dependability is a choice. So when a man says, I got you, and backs it up with action, that's when you know his words have roots. He's not just offering comfort, he's offering consistency. And that consistency is what builds real trust. Because anyone can be present when things are fun or easy. But the man who stays when it's inconvenient, the man who supports you when you're not shining, when you're tired, when you're uncertain, that's the one who means it. That's the one who's not looking for perfection, he's looking for partnership. When he says, I got you, it's not just about taking care of you. It's about standing beside you. It's about teamwork. It's his way of saying, you don't have to be strong all the time. I see how much you carry, and I'm not here to add to it. I'm here to lighten it. And that right there is what safety feels like, not control, not dominance, Just someone quietly saying, you can rest here. And that's rare, because real emotional security doesn't come from someone who says the right thing in the moment. It comes from someone who keeps showing up the same way, steady, calm, consistent. The kind of person whose presence lowers your anxiety instead of raising it. The one who brings a sense of calm even when everything else feels chaotic. That's what "I got you" means when it's said with intention. You can tell it's genuine not just by what he says, but by how he follows through. When he remembers the details. When he checks in even when you didn't ask. When he shows up not to fix everything, but just to be there. That's what love sounds like when it's mature. It doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be loyal. And that's why those 3 words matter so much. Because when a man says, "I got you," and proves it over time, what he's really saying is, you can count on me, not just when it's convenient, but when it's costly. That's the kind of energy that doesn't just attract you, it anchors you. Because a man who truly wants you doesn't just say he cares. He shows it through steadiness, through action, through commitment. And when he says, "I got you," and his life matches his words, that's not affection, that's devotion.